welcome to this epic disaster. How are you, everybody? It's a new week, and we got a new. This is kind of a different thing. Cheri was not feeling well today, so she bowed out. She's at home in bed, and I had to quickly find a replacement, so I did. And I have my special co-host today, which is my wife, Maria. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the co-host chair.
Thanks.
You get to be Cheri this week, which
I don't feel prepared for that.
That's a task. I think the main thing is just be yourself.
Okay.
Do what yourself would do. Only you know what yourself would do. Don't do what Cheri would do, which means don't curse me on the air.
Okay.
Which is a very important thing. But yeah, she, so we've been doing this podcast for a long time, and in the history of Cheri and myself doing podcasts, there's only been one time when she wasn't on, and I did it myself. It was a solo podcast.
Yeah. Was it any good?
No, it wasn't. I learned
This
from
may
that.
not be any better.
I learned from that mistake. But so it's kind of weird because it's the first time. So the option was, she was saying, I don't feel good. Let's just do it next week. And I thought,
Right.
well, I want to do something. So I thought about doing a solo podcast, which I know didn't go over well. And so I just thought, why not you do it?
Well, so then with that way, the blame goes on me if it sucks.
Yeah, well, I don't think the podcast always sucks.
Well, and it'll validate Cheri.
No,
She'll feel really good about it.
No, it will fall on to me if the podcast still sucks.
She'll be like, yeah, you can't do this without me.
If the podcast has sucked from the beginning and she drops out and it still sucks, then that means it goes to me.
Oh, right.
See what I'm saying?
Right, because you're the common denominator.
That's right. So it's my fault.
Oh.
But what I just feel like, there's going to be a time in the history of this podcast, in the future, whatever, that she will end up doing a show with someone else too. Have to, like if I go out of town or something.
Right.
So this is
What
the
if
first
it's
time.
really good if she does it with somebody else?
I probably will be. But then I'm out of a job.
Yeah,
I'll
I
have to
feel
drown-
like that's an existential crisis.
I have to
at that
drown my
point.
sorrows in lots of beer.
Am I loud enough?
Speaking of beer, I think you are.
Okay, good.
Speaking of beer, this is when we do our live beer review. Let's do a live beer review. Live beer review is something we do on every show. If you're new to the podcast, we open a beer we've never had on the show before. We drink it. At the end of the podcast, we'll tell you what we think about it. Now, we have an interesting beer. This beer's been in our refrigerator for over a year.
Because I'm not a beer drinker.
Well, we thought we would drink it, and we intended to drink it. It just hasn't happened.
Right.
So we bought this the day that I had salmon for the first time.
That's right.
In many, many years.
Yeah.
It was the first meat thing
you'd
that I
had.
had eaten on purpose.
Right.
And so that was well over a year. It's been in our refrigerator over a year.
I think that might be right. And also, I would say the good news is that this does not have any salmon notes to it.
Hopefully it does not. No salmon on it. But does beer age?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's why they had that, where we got our wedding reception.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay,
They have,
well,
like, a cellar.
tell us about the beer. What we're drinking today.
Okay, I'm really excited about this one. I was excited about it when I bought it.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't drink it for a year, but it comes to us from Colorado,
Wow, all the way.
home of a lot of good beers.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering this right, wasn't that the origin of Cannonball Run?
In Colorado?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was like Coors, right?
Oh, yeah. No. You're thinking that's
Smoking the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Dang.
They were taking Coors beer, which was illegal.
Yeah.
So stupid.
It's great.
Well, it was Coors beer legal, but they were taking. What was the thing with it? Did it just have a high alcohol content? Because I don't think it still does it?
I think they were just bringing it to, because it involved the South, so maybe they're bringing it to like a dry county or something like that. I don't know, because
nowadays then people would ship it back, but
well, yeah. Well, now you go there for your pot.
right. That's the updated Smokey and the Bandit right there.
That's a totally different meaning of Smokey.
They're taking the pot across state lines. They
Yeah.
need to do a remake. Who would be in the remake of that? Johnny Knoxville. They would put him in.
They would have to.
Johnny Knoxville would be
and
the
Seth
Jerry.
Rogen.
Do you
Right?
think?
I think so.
Seth Rogen. Maybe he would be the sheriff. I would think Johnny Knoxville would be Jerry Reed's part. Now, who would be
Okay.
Burt Reynolds? Who could play Burt Reynolds? Burt Reynolds has that masculine, sexy, but kind of sensitive dude. Yeah, definitely hairy. Who has a big mustache nowadays?
Jake Gyllenhaal could pull it off. He's a little old now, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't see him as being that masculine, tough guy, which he is, but I don't know.
I mean, he played a cowboy.
Who's Burt Reynolds? Who's today's Burt Reynolds? Do we have? No. I was gonna say, who's Deadpool guy? Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds, Ryan Reynolds, maybe.
He's not beefcakey like that.
Do you think?
No, he's kind of like he's just kind of cute.
He's also blonde. He's kind of he's got a little preppy. Burt Reynolds has the dark, mysterious, dark guy look about him. I don't know who would be today's Burt Reynolds, but.
We don't watch enough new movies.
We'll have to think about it. If you're out there listening and you know who today's Burt Reynolds is,
please, God, let us know.
Send us an email at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com and tell us.
It'll give me something to flip through when we're looking for a movie on Netflix.
In the meantime, we're gonna tell us about the barrel-aged vanilla bean stout from
Colorado.
Colorado.
Sorry about that. So, so I actually pulled up the Avery Brewing Company's page, and so they've got a cool infographic for someone who likes visual representations of data. This would totally geek you out. So it tells you that the descriptors are caramel, rich vanilla. The malt varieties, you know that they love beer if they're talking about the different malts that they use. Yeah. But this is multiple malts go into this one, which I think is pretty impressive. So I don't know if you knew this. I made my own beer at one point.
No, I didn't know that.
We can talk about that later. So malt varieties are black, C120, roasted barley, midnight wheat, oats, and 2-row. I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
The yeast, it's very low on the hop driven. So for people who hate IPAs, this could be your thing.
Cool.
Yeast varieties, London Ale, which is super exciting. Hop varieties is a Bravo. I don't know what that is. And the dry hop varieties is not applicable, so it's very malt forward. It's got a 10.5% ABV percentage.
Oh, wow.
Alcohol by volume.
We're going to be a little buzzed after this.
Yeah, so listen to this. Oh, sorry, 10.8%.
Does it have the salmon content by any chance?
It's a 0. It's a not applicable salmon content.
Okay.
So this is a barrel-aged, bourbon barrel-aged stout. And this is the description. I mean, how can you not love this? A double dose of vanilla derived from both fresh bourbon barrels and the trio of Tongan, Ugandan, and Mexican whole bean vanillas is complemented by essences of chocolate, caramel, and molasses to round out this luxuriously silky stout. I feel like it should be maybe cooler weather for us to drink this,
but it's burning hot today.
I'm saying let's go for it. That's what I'm saying. All
right, I cracked it open. I'm going to have some. I'm going to pour mine first, which is rude. No, I'll pour this and I'll let you have it, and then I'll take it.
No, that's all right, honey.
You want to pour your own?
No. You can pour mine. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be for me.
That is for you. It's very dark, kind of coffee looking.
So I was looking at reviews of this. This is super awesome. One of the reviews said, pours pitch black, nearly impervious to light. I think that's actually a really good description.
Yeah, but I can see, I've had some darker, but I can see a little bit.
Maybe.
But I
agree. Ample foamy head.
It does have a bit of a foamy head, yes.
Yeah. I think this is exciting. I'm excited about this one.
All right, let's try it.
All right, let's do it. So we're going to have our first sip. Do we talk about?
Oh, it smells like soy sauce.
It does smell a little soy saucy, huh?
Oh, do they have that in there?
It goes with the salmon.
Kind of look a little bit like soy sauce. It's not a Japanese beer, is it?
No, it's Colorado. We just talked about that.
Like there's no Japanese in Colorado. Okay. It's got a little bit of a bitter to it. Oh, what was that?
It plays on the front of your tongue. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but on the back, it's got a very bready taste. It tastes like bread.
That's probably the yeast.
Yeah. But it's a little bit of a bitter beer.
It tastes a little bit, it tastes almost like one of those Russian black breads, It's got with the coffee.
It tastes like toast because it's got a little buttery in it, and then you taste that bread. It's got a toast kind of taste. Cheri would tell me I was crazy.
She doesn't. Really?
It is. It's toast.
No, it's very toasty.
Let's have a toast.
No. Sorry. I bring my own sound effects.
Your own sound effects. How was your week? What was going on? What's going on with you? I don't get to ask Cheri about her week. I kind of know what happened. We had a pretty exciting week, but I'll let you tell it.
Well, we spent most of the week together.
Yeah, we have for 2 weeks, and because
I had the fortune of being furloughed this week.
Furloughed.
Yeah. So
a lot of people got furloughed.
Yes, a lot of people. So I work in healthcare, and because of the whole coronavirus thing, a lot of us healthcare folks have actually not done too well financially. Because
now, why is that? Because you would think that with a healthcare crisis, that healthcare providers would be just going crazy and busy. Right.
Except that the only ones that really are internal medicine, emergency medicine, and pulmonologists. They don't make a whole lot of money for the organization.
Okay.
So, and we haven't been able to have orthopedists. You know, surgery is where it's at.
Pedist. Sorry. Sorry.
So we haven't had a whole lot of surgeries and a lot of the revenue makers. So, and weirdly, like other things, like, you know, our overall volumes are low, and usually our emergency department's really high, like all throughout the year. It's like suddenly people stopped having strokes or something. I don't know. It's very weird. The degree. So anyway, the end result of that story is that they've asked us, in order to make budget, for folks in the organization to actually go on furlough for a couple weeks.
So you're in charge of falling on your own grenade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Well, it's nice that people are actually willing to do that to save the company. I mean, we've had discussions on the podcast before about people not taking a bullet for the company, and now people. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of nice. There's, you know.
Well, you know,
just 2 weeks though, right?
Just 2 weeks. Some people had to do longer, but I've done 2 weeks, and you know, honestly, it's the longest I've been not working.
Now, what if you go back? What if you go back to work and they move the hospital? They're like, shh, let's get out. Let's move. Now that she's back.
We just had a topping off ceremony for our new floor. So I think it'll still be there.
Maybe that's what it was. They were told you that's what it was. And then you show up and they're
like, it's a department store now, which is totally going to fail.
And then you're like, where did they go? Then nobody would tell you what happened. Well, we can't tell you that.
I did have a dream that they moved our offices again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe that'll happen. I'll come back and.
I think that's just the anxiety of moving around and insecure, unsure future.
Except that I was really relaxed in the dream, like to the point that I couldn't even help them move because I was just like, I'm just so chill right now.
You were drinking some of this beer.
No, I was listening to Michael Sheely.
Oh, that'll do it too. So now you don't like ASMR, you hate ASMR, but you like Michael Sheely, and I don't understand that.
You haven't listened to his voice.
I have. I do. He's Australian. I've listened
delicious.
To him. But that's ASMR.
No.
It is. So ASMR is a very, very wide net. It's a wide description, and really not a very accurate one for what people are doing now. And I think I've said it before. ASMR is a totally different thing. Now ASMR just means things that make you relax. But you can't change it. So that's what it is. And so in the umbrella definition of ASMR, you have people who talk softly. You have people who make noises. You have people who eat.
Ugh.
That's disgusting.
That's so gross.
I've never liked that. What do they call it? Mukbang. That's what they call it. Or is it mukbang or mukbang?
I call it misophonia. That's disgusting.
MUKBANG, and I think it's an Asian term for the sound. People like the sound of eating, and I don't like that. But I do like certain mouth sounds. So there's a Korean girl that she's like my top ASMR person. I listen to her all the time, and when she talks, I don't know how to explain it, but just the sounds her mouth makes, it just sends me to sleep. But if she was eating, I couldn't stand it.
I can't stand mouth sounds.
I know.
At all.
Isn't it weird?
That's totally weird.
It's also very strange.
No, he's just very soothing. Well, he's a hypnotist by trade.
Yeah.
So it's sleep hypnosis. So he does vocal patterns where he'll pause in certain areas and emphasize certain words, but there's not other extraneous noises that go along with how he speaks. Yeah. And it knocks me right out. Amazing insomnia killer.
Well, there are a couple ASMR artists that I listen to who will do guided meditations, and they do hypnotism or hypnosis, and so it's all kind of in there. Anyway. All right, so you moved your office. No, you're going back to work.
I'm going back to work tomorrow.
Next week. Wow, it's like starting. So do you feel like the time off, you're going to be at your sharpest? Do you have to get back in the swing of it?
Yeah. I mean, I have to do that over the weekend, so. I haven't been there for 2 weeks.
You're like showing up with no bra on, just in your pajama clothes. And like, Maria, go home.
No.
Do you not remember our dress code?
No, I don't think that will happen.
Screw you, buddy. Who are you?
No,
I'm your boss, Maria.
I think I can't even. As much as I might want to say that, I can't do that. No, I have to. I'm the professional apologizer. I have to be super, super nice.
Yeah. But you have to get used to being nice again. Do you think people like?
Nice to you.
Do you think people like they'll detect that you're like being sarcastic? You have to get your nice vibe going again, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah.
And you'll be sitting there like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I don't. I'm pretty good about not. You know.
You're pretty good about hiding.
Yeah. Well, especially now that we
nice.
have to wear masks all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know. So,
have you done that? Have you been out in public with your mask on and actually like mouthed the word "F you" to someone in public and they can't tell?
Yeah.
I have.
I've made.
Me?
Did you do that to me today?
No, not you. I haven't done. I could do that to you just in person. I don't need a mask. But I've walked around in public with my mask on, made faces at people, and they didn't know. Of course they don't know.
Right.
It's so satisfying. It's so free.
It is actually kind of nice.
I remember reading that John Mayer once said, John Mayer, the guitar player, songwriter, said that there was nothing more freer to him than not hiding the sounds he made in the bathroom. For the first time when he would go to a public restroom and someone was in there, not worrying about what it's, just letting it go. I feel like that doing that with your mask is the same thing. Looking at someone and making face, it's the same thing. But then I think, what if you forget and you're not wearing your mask one day?
Yeah.
And then you're in trouble.
Well, see, that's actually one of my anxieties, is that not so much with like making faces, but I don't know if you know this, but I have allergies.
Yes, I do.
So, you know, you're supposed to sneeze and cough into your arm, but when you're wearing a mask all the time,
you need a much bigger arm for your sneezes.
I don't know what you're trying to say, honey. But like you get used to just doing it into the mask, and you're like, it's cool because it's
no
not
covering.
Anywhere. Yeah, like just shove it up. And like, what happens when I don't have to wear a mask anymore? And it's just like all over the place.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a big change. We're all going to have to change back. It took so long to get here.
Yeah.
I feel like when we take our masks off and we're walking around, all the anti-maskers are going to put masks on.
Just to
They're going to be
difficult.
Like, yeah, you're taking your mask off, you sheep. I'm going to put my mask on.
Yeah, they totally will.
I think that's what's going to happen.
And I'll be like, okay.
Let's play a little Would You Rather. Now, you know how to play this game, right?
Yeah, we did it before. We did it on the Zoom.
We've done it on the Zoom.
And I got the stupidest question.
Sometimes you get really, really dumb questions. You can't really control the questions, but
I feel like they were written by people who didn't have a good time in their 20s.
I think it's written by a lot of different people. But anyway, so I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
So you drop a stone, color stone. You tell me what it is, and then we will go from there. Would you rather? It's a game of Would You Rather. I will ask you drop a color stone, a question that coordinates with your color.
Okay.
Will pop up, and then it'll be a Would You Rather.
So I shake and drop
You
them?
should just drop one stone.
Okay.
And then that's the color.
This is really, what if my hands are sticky? It's hot in here.
Well, just drop, as long as one drops. It's a blue one. It's going to be a blue one.
Don't say that.
It's going to be a blue one.
Stop it. It's probably going to be red because they were all red last time.
It's green.
It's green, like a booger.
All right. Now we know why you married me. Okay. Green is ethics and intellect.
Okay.
Would you rather be someone who lives by what their newspaper horoscope tells them to do every day, or what the person on the psychic hotline tells them daily? I think it's the same difference.
It's the same difference.
It's kind of a dumb question.
Well, okay, so
do you want to live your life by your newspaper horoscope or psychic hotline horoscope?
Well, neither one of them, really.
I mean, that's
so
you're not into either of that, right?
No. Well, I mean, I think that astrology is funny, but I would probably choose the astrology one. This is why. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because the hotline you got to pay for. You can look online for free astrology every day.
We have to pay for the newspaper, but and no one reads the newspaper.
No
anymore.
one reads yeah, exactly. This is written by people who didn't enjoy their 20s.
Well, I mean, who knows how old these questions are? I don't know.
That's actually true too.
I'm not a big I'm not a horoscope person. I can't say I believe in horoscopes, but I've always been fascinated, and I used to be really into like trying to find out. You know, I had I don't remember the guy's name now, but he wrote tons and tons of books on horoscope and like which signs match up with the other signs, and then all of the stuff about that and the problems that you can anticipate and what this is going to mean and where your relationship will be great and where it will be bad. Oh, I loved that stuff.
Yeah.
And so anytime I was in a relationship, I would always look it up and try to find out, you know. Yeah.
You didn't do that when we got together, did
No,
you?
I was way out of that. That was mostly like high school, middle school. And again, I wasn't into horoscope. I was just into the matchups.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you didn't look at because Aquarians and Taurians are not supposed to be together. Yeah, no.
I don't believe that.
You look it up. Lindsay's got that book.
All right. I'll test it. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's
It's not that we're not supposed to be together. It's just kind of like one of those meh relationships.
Yeah.
Like we're not like anti and we're not like, you know, destined for each other.
I used to know all the ones that are really good. I know Cancer and Taurus mixed together, but that's all. I don't remember the rest. My mother's a Cancer. Like, great, you get a date with my mom.
That's creepy.
Yeah, but I don't remember the other. I do remember reading that Pisces and Taurus don't go well together. That was my
no one
ex-wife.
should date a Pisces.
Yeah. No, especially not that one. Okay, it's my turn. I'll drop one.
Okay.
All right, and then I need to put this back in here.
Yeah, in the back,
and
right?
then I'm going to shuffle them up. Oh, I'm feeling yellow. Yellow's burning my hand. Yellow is burning. Ow, it hurts.
It's a green. Like a booger.
Still hurting. It was stuck to my hand. Yellow was stuck to my hand when I dropped it. That's why it's burning.
You want the yellow one?
No, green. We got to go with the real question, green.
Okay, I can give you yellow if it makes you feel better.
We're doing green. I stick with the rules. I don't know what you think about this podcast, but we follow the rules here.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
Green, baby, green.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't know how you're going to interpret this one.
Okay,
so,
would you rather?
Would you rather?
Yes.
Okay, so if your country was engaged in a war.
Okay.
With the blame is clearly yours.
Uh-huh.
Really? Would you rather side with your country or speak out publicly against the war and your nation for continuing to fight?
Is that the whole question?
Yeah.
I would definitely speak against. I've done that before.
Okay.
You know. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a blind patriot. I'm an American. I believe in America. I like what America stands for.
Yeah.
Ultimately, but when America is wrong, if America picks a bad leader, if America is having bad policies, I have no problem with speaking against that. That is what makes us Americans.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should do.
Yeah, I mean the whole country is based on dissent and protest.
I consider myself mostly a pacifist. I did at one point consider, and I almost joined the military. I went through 4 years of ROTC in school and loved it. But I'm not I think I'm a pacifist. If I had to serve in the military, I would want to do it in a more peaceful thing. I couldn't be war person. I couldn't shoot people.
No.
I remember the recruiter saying, asking me if I could kill someone, like shoot them in war, and I was like, no. And he said, if it was between you and that person in battle, you wouldn't do it. And I said, I don't think so. Now that's hard. You can't say that.
Right.
I think when you're actually there, it's going to be different.
Do you think that recruiter wrote these cards?
Maybe.
Because I felt like that was kind of a would you rather kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm not totally sure he knew how to write, but anyway, he might have. He was a lot more interested in shooting people. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. He's probably a general now.
Yeah.
Probably on the Pentagon.
That
I don't know.
be.
He was a nice guy. I mean, I had no problem with him, but just that's his job. That's what he thought about all the time.
So did you want to hear what the yellow question would have been?
Sure. What would I have gotten?
I'm really curious about this one and how you would have answered it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have a 16-year-old daughter who stays in her room crying all day?
Okay.
Or who stays out every night, but you don't know where she is or with whom?
I would go with the crying all day. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I feel like both of those involve at some point some kind of intervention on your part as a parent.
Yeah, something's going on. You got to be a little careful. Now, so this is something interesting that it's specifically you. You are from Minnesota.
Yep.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
born and raised in Minnesota.
Sorry, I got the coughing thing going on.
You got the COVID. So you don't have the COVID, but you do have allergies.
Yeah, and so apparently I'm having some kind of thing happening in here. I don't know.
Just drink your beer. All right, so you just got back from Minnesota. You were taking your mom home, and you picked up the Minnesota Chat Pack.
Yes.
Now, I don't know. I could not answer any of these because I'm not from Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't know this, but you feel like you can.
I'm going to see. I'm going to see how much I know. I mean, I haven't lived there since 90.
So here's what we'll do is I'm going to ask you 10 questions. 10 Minnesota questions.
Okay.
And we'll see 1, 2, 3. We'll see how many of them you get.
Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10, and then we'll see if you're really a Minnesotan.
Okay. Let's. I don't even know what the type of questions there are.
I don't know anything.
They could be open ended. I don't know how you're going to rate that.
I haven't even looked at them.
Yeah, me neither.
So I'm going to put on my glasses.
I'm just intrigued by the way that they're actually shaped. I really wasn't anticipating that.
They're very
that
very
totally
small.
threw me that.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
How do we know? I'm not sure that these have answers. I think it's
maybe so I could just make stuff up.
It's just what would you do kind of.
Oh, okay.
Maybe this is not the best thing. If a family from another country were visiting Minnesota, what would you tell them that they absolutely have to see for their Minnesota trip to be complete? So it's really just you showing what you. So
what I love about Minnesota.
That can kind of be handy for our listeners too.
Okay, so
if someone, one of our listeners was visiting Minnesota, and they've never been before, what would you tell them they absolutely have to see for their Minnesota trip to be complete?
So I would say in terms of easiest to get to, so every time I drive to Minnesota, and I always choose to cross at La Crosse, which is, makes sense, because I think it's probably one of the most breathtaking views in the United States of what I've seen. It's where you cross the Mississippi between Wisconsin and Minnesota. Okay. And the bluffs there are absolutely incredible, and that whole area is so breathtaking. Every time I drive through there, I want to cry.
Okay, so our listeners might want to cry by seeing the bluffs of the Mississippi?
Yeah, at La Crosse. Okay. At La Crosse. It's totally worth it.
So we got to do that.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm a little disappointed you didn't say Paisley Park, but
I just feel like it's
not as much now that Prince is gone.
He's not there to say hi.
Right. And he always did. He always welcomed the people.
He'd bring out a little hot dish for you.
That's right. Okay, if there were a parade of Minnesota lakes, and in parentheses they have yes, it would be one very, very long parade.
Yes, it would.
Which lake would get your vote for the Grand Marshal?
Ooh.
A weird question.
I mean, it is and it's not. We have a lot of parades in Minnesota.
You're very prideful of your lakes.
Obviously, I think that you have to go with Lake Superior.
Okay, because it is Superior.
It is, and it's a big honking lake.
I thought it was that was like New York or something.
No.
Michigan. Is it Michigan?
They're all Great Lakes.
Superior?
Lake Superior is
it touch? Yeah. I didn't know it touched Minnesota.
Yeah, Duluth.
Okay.
You go up to Thunder Bay, and it's all of that area around Ontario. Yeah. Yeah, Minnesota.
I don't know my lakes. I know my states, but I'm not really up on the lakes. I guess I need to do a little bit of lake research.
We'll show you.
If you could permanently eliminate one annual event in Minnesota, which one would it be?
Winter.
Wow. Okay. I want to see a Minnesota winter.
No, you don't. I'll show you pictures of it. You don't have to actually.
I've seen pictures. That's why I want to see it.
It's awful.
Of our 4 neighboring states, Minnesota's 4 neighboring states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, which one are you, shall we say, least fond of?
Well, that's
kind of. I don't know that you should say that. You might offend one of our listeners.
I can do this safely. Let me do that. Let me do the easiest way. I've never been to North Dakota.
So you can say that.
I have the least opinion.
All those North Dakota bastards.
I have the least opinion about North Dakota. I have been to parts of South Dakota. I have been through Iowa several times. I actually really love Wisconsin. Don't tell my brother-in-law.
Oh, this is weird. No, I didn't. Okay,
what?
never mind.
Yeah.
I was saying, I dated someone from South Dakota. I dated someone whose family was in Iowa. I know a couple people from Wisconsin. No one from North Dakota though. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of with you again on that. What if anyone is in North Dakota?
No, they are. There's Fargo. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're still going here. Okay. Mud Lake is the most common name for a lake in Minnesota.
Okay.
Really? So there are many mud lakes?
I didn't realize that there was
more than one mud lake. It says there's 224 of them.
Holy cow.
Holy mud. But it's definitely not the coolest sounding name. Which Minnesota lake do you think has the best name?
I can't even pronounce it.
Lake Titicaca? What?
No, that's not in Minnesota.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So
I just wanted to say titty.
I'm going to have to look it up because...
Now, what was the name of the lake that had to be, that Apollonia had to purify herself in?
I can't remember which one it was.
Purify yourself.
It might have been Minnetonka, maybe?
It was. You are correct.
So, it could have been Minnetonka. So
that was it.
Lake Nokomis is always my favorite. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited because I just found this out recently because, I moved away in 1990. But one of my favorite places to go hang out was a lake called Lake Calhoun, which they have renamed because of, Calhoun was like a really bad person. Mm-hmm. And they renamed it De Makaska, which is an Ojibwe name. And no one can actually pronounce it anymore if they're not Ojibwe, apparently.
Interesting.
And so it's very cool. They've named it this, and
it translates to "get out of here, honky."
So no, it means Lake White Earth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's not Ojibwe. It's Dakota. It's Dakota Indian.
What is your all-time favorite line or scene from a movie that was set in Minnesota? Purify yourself in the water.
No. So it looks like a triple homicide, yeah?
Was that filmed in Minnesota? Because it's Fargo.
It took place in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they actually named it Fargo because it was really a Minnesota movie.
Well, I read about that, and they did just because they were going to call it something else, and I don't remember. But I think Brainerd is what they were going to call it.
Yeah, which would make more sense.
Yeah, but then they said that no one knew what that meant, and people related to Fargo better. So they did
totally.
That.
Yeah. Well,
One of my favorite movies.
It's a great one. Yeah, my friends wouldn't actually take me to go see it because they thought I'd be offended. And you know how I laugh when I laugh.
Yeah.
I was on the floor.
It's one of the funniest movies that shouldn't be funny.
It totally
ever.
Right,
it's such a black comedy, but it's brilliant. It's everything in the world. It's wrong on so many levels, but funny even when it's wrong.
It's my people.
Yeah, it's great.
It's my people caught up in things outside their control.
All right, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll put a stop to the Minnesota questions. Which person in Minnesota history do you think had the greatest impact on Minnesota?
Oh. Well, that's really hard. Well, now I have to look it up again.
Paul Bunyan. I don't know. A lot of Minnesotans.
Yeah, there's a lot of Minnesotans. I mean, oh gosh.
You should stop hitting the.
Sorry.
This.
Okay, sorry. Oh, is that going to make it bad later?
Yeah, it's really loud.
I'm sorry.
Every time you hit that, you're hitting the microphone stand, and you don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Don't you know all the great Minnesotans?
God, there's so many though.
Garrison Keillor, Prince.
Oh. But so it's the history of Minnesota, though. Greatest influence on Minnesota.
Yeah, I think I just said the greatest influence on the state.
On the state.
Maybe the people. I don't know.
Gosh. That's hard because there's I would say Bob Dylan or Prince from a, larger perspective, national perspective. But for Minnesota itself, I mean, you go back to Father Hennepin and those folks, and that helped really kind of build it up. And then there's Laura Ingalls Wilder, who really kind of put Minnesota on the map with Little House on the Prairie.
Okay, so you say that, but I didn't know those took place in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Never knew that.
Well, it took place all over the place, but she was from Minnesota. But
I read all those Little House, not all of them. I read some Little House books when I was younger, but I just don't remember it being from Minnesota. I would never have said that.
It started in Wisconsin, and then they go to Minnesota. But yeah, the show with the whole crew. That took place in Minnesota.
Well, I would have, and I certainly wouldn't say Garrison Keillor is the greatest, but what I know of Minnesota and images of Minnesota come a lot from his stories.
That's true too.
But in the same way that someone would tell stories about Appalachia,
Right.
You know, it's a small pocket of people who live in that area,
Right.
and it's probably not a representative of everyone.
Right. I mean, that's very true.
And the largest group. And also Minnesota looks like a crushed beer can. Have you noticed that?
It does. It does look a little squashy.
I always thought that.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we stop there?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so that's our Minnesota. And I couldn't score you because, even though I will score you later.
Now. My mom could be listening.
I know. She's from Minnesota.
She wouldn't understand.
They weren't really questions that could be scored. So I'm not keeping score on that one. So I'm going to say.
I was glad I had answers to most
I'm going to
of them.
say you won. You got 100%.
Okay, so I still have some Minnesota cred.
It means that you won the chair. Cheri's fired. Now you're
No.
You're sitting
She'll
there.
get so mad at me.
I know she'll never come back for food again.
No, that would be bad.
No, I'm just kidding. No, do it. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
All right then.
Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to chat about? Any thing that's going on in your life?
So yeah. So
mentioned. And
I was. Do you have things that you want to talk about? I just want to make sure I'm not stealing the.
We were talking about our week. We did have fun yesterday. We went on a little trek yesterday.
Yeah.
In a weird way, to get some pickles, which we'll talk about. But there's so I was driving up kind of north Georgia, and I noticed there was this big family farm. What was the name of that?
J. Moore.
Okay. And I just saw it's just like a big complex.
Which you thought started with a K.
I totally missed the name. Yeah, I didn't remember it. But I
It's
knew
close
it
enough.
would be a place that you would like. You're really into produce.
I love produce.
And so we drove up yesterday about an hour and 10 minutes away from our place. It was a long drive.
It was a long way to go for tomatoes.
Yeah, and so we got up there, but it was fun. It's a lot of stuff up there. I was really surprised at how much. I kind of expected it to be, just a lot of farm kind of produce, but it was a little bit of everything from honey to pickles to popcorn and produce, everything. Fudge.
We had a lot of fudge.
Bread,
jokes.
candy, cheese, everything.
Everything.
And not everything was at the farm, but a surprising amount of stuff was.
We got cheese curds, which I usually don't think of outside of the Midwest.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
It is.
It was really cool. And actually, I wrote that down as one of the things I want to talk about.
Okay.
Because I actually had it listed under things that I love about you.
About me?
Yeah.
Do I like produce?
No, I like produce. You don't. But I was thinking about things like I love how you can take something that I just say and you can run with it, and it makes me laugh so hard I can't stand it.
Like what?
Like when remember when we drove by the billboard that said call Psychic Maria, and I thought it was psychic mimes.
Uh-huh.
And you cracked me up with the whole riffing on psychic mimes.
Oh yeah, we did a little thing.
Like the worst mimes you could go, the worst psychics you could go to, because all they're going to tell you is that you're stuck in a box.
Yeah.
And about to float away in a balloon.
Yeah. We just improv. We just do improv.
Yeah, it makes me really happy. It's like I can throw something at you and then you can run with it.
I need a location.
So you had mentioned this farm, and I was doing this thing that I think that you still don't fully understand what I'm doing. But for a
I don't, and I started thinking, I don't know that I want to. It's so weird and complicated. I do understand the essence of it, though.
Yeah. So
the challenge.
Yeah. So I work
the pickle challenge.
The pickles and ice cream challenge.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. So I work. I volunteer for an organization that supports, health moms having babies and all that. And so we've launched this whole website for expectant moms so they can get information about basically what to expect when they're expecting and all that stuff.
The website is
picklesandicecreamga.org.
Okay.
And so it's super cute. We just launched it. And so to kind of kick it off, we decided to do a pickles and ice cream challenge, kind of like the ice bucket challenge, where we wanted to get local, where people basically would go get a bowl of ice cream, stick a pickle in it, eat it, and then that would be their challenge. And then they would tag other people and raise money.
Like the ice bucket challenge.
The ice bucket challenge.
ALC. What was it? What is it?
ALS.
ALS.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, and this is not nearly as traumatizing.
Right.
For people to do.
But still important.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I've been calling around. We got a couple of ice cream shops to participate. And one of the big Georgia pickle makers, which is Fickle's Pickles. They're based in Athens, Georgia, and everyone loves their pickles.
Okay.
And so we were on this mission to because we're going live basically tomorrow. I needed to go pick up pickles to drop off at these ice cream shops so they would have pickles to put in people's ice cream for the challenge.
Let me interrupt you for just a second. While we were there, I did get a jar of pickles for Cheri. Cheri's a big pickle person.
Yeah, which are disgusting. I don't know why she eats them.
No,
but why the challenge is
But
fun.
here's the thing. She said she never listened to the podcast, but I'm wondering if she'll listen to it with you as co-host.
Ooh.
So here's the thing.
Hi,
I'm
Cheri.
not going to give her the pickles unless she comes up to me and says, "Give me my pickles." And then I'll give her the pickles. And the only way she's going to know that is if she listens to the podcast.
Unless someone rats her out on social media and tells her,
They
hey,
better
did
not.
you get your pickles?
That's okay. If someone does that, that's all right. But I don't think it's going to happen.
It could happen.
She doesn't talk to people. She locks herself up in her house.
That's also
No
true.
one ever knows she's there.
That is true.
Okay, so that's the only way she's going to get her delicious pickles is to come up to me and say,
I want my pickles.
it's kind of like the phrase that we have on the podcast sometimes. You come up and say that phrase and you get your pickles.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, and I love the fact that I was like, hey, I need to go to Athens to pick up pickles. And you're like, I don't know where that is. And I said, it's fine.
I do know where Athens is, but I didn't really know where it was.
In relation to the farm.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love about you is like, I can have a harebrained idea and say, let's go drive there. And you're like, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
And we'll just go do it. And so we drove an hour and 10 minutes to basically almost the North Carolina border and got produce. And then we drove another hour back south to Athens
To get more pickles.
And we went to that crazy co-op that wouldn't let anyone inside.
One person at a time.
It was so weird. It was so weird. And I was just so hungry. And I just wanted a pickle.
Super fresh Nazi foods.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, I appreciated their concern about public safety. I just felt like it was asking a lot of people in Georgia in August to only allow one person at a time into a store. But I appreciate their commitment to infection prevention as someone who works in healthcare. So we had to leave there, and then we went to this other place, Bill's, which I walked around and finally found them, and I was so relieved. And so I came out.
A lot of women there with no bras. I noticed that.
I totally missed that.
Oh, and then along the same lines, I just want to say we did eat downtown Athens. No, we didn't eat Athens. We ate in downtown.
It felt like I ate.
There's no freaking graffiti.
In downtown Athens.
We live in Atlanta where they will graffiti your back if you're not. I mean, there's graffiti everywhere. And it's beautiful. They do. Most of the artists here are great. I love it. But I tried to find some graffiti there because I wanted to take some pictures.
They had giant expanses of wall.
With nothing.
Nothing.
We looked for graffiti and couldn't find it.
Like, no one had even, taken a pen and just kind of written their name on there.
And we went,
perfect.
Like when we went to Bell's for you to get your I looked around, couldn't find it anywhere. And then we came out and drove around, still couldn't find it. No graffiti in Athens.
So if you have been to Athens and you found graffiti, let us know, because
if you're a graffiti
I don't
artist,
believe it exists.
If you're a graffiti artist moving to Athens, Georgia, good luck.
Well, yeah, or actually you'll do great because there's so many walls to choose from.
I just wonder if they'd have a really, really strict laws there that if you graffiti, you pay thousands of dollars and go to jail or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's maybe, but it's like the home of the Love Shack and fish concerts.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff.
feel like that. There's got to be areas where there's graffiti.
Maybe maybe it's like the only one person in the store at times, no graffiti and no one comes in.
Only one person graffitiing at a time.
That's all. And maybe the one person that does graffiti there has the COVID and they're we're we have to wait until John comes back out.
So I love graffiti and I just like looking at it. So Asheville has good graffiti.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, let's put it this way. Asheville has a lot of graffiti.
Yeah.
Not all of it's good.
Right. But they're trying.
Yeah. Atlanta has got a lot of really good graffiti. And Atlanta, not just graffiti, but most of Atlanta's quote graffiti is legal murals. They have space. I mean, Atlanta's the most muraled town I've ever seen. Ever.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's up there with like Minneapolis and Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely in terms of like really awesome.
Are those like legal? Do they have a lot of legal graffiti space?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's both of those cities have kind of supported the growth of that.
Very
for
cool.
Years. Yeah, it's very cool. So it makes me very happy when I'm walking around Atlanta and I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was actually one of the things I loved about you is like you went on this like crazy pickle adventure, and which continued today because then I had to go drop off the pickles and eat ice cream. And
but I got some ice cream out of it.
Yeah, and I actually twice I tried the pickles.
You did. Now, you the first one you tried pickled peaches on it, and you said it was really, really good. And the second one you tried a dill pickle slice, and I felt like you didn't like it as much.
Well, I mean, that's 100% true.
Okay.
So the first one was pickled peaches from J. Moore Farms where we had gone to.
Yes.
And that was with Delta's Design from Jake's Ice Cream in downtown Atlanta or in Old Fourth Ward. And that was really good. And that the peaches just worked really, really well with that kind of brown sugar ice cream they had. And then over at Butter and Cream, which is our favorite place to go.
Yes.
They had the cardamom vanilla, which is one of my favorites. I'm like, what could go wrong with cardamom vanilla? And so I took out this dill pickle that had like whole cloves in the brine and everything. And I had that one slice and it was god awful.
Not as good.
It was god awful,
yeah.
But it wasn't as bad as I was expecting because I really do hate.
We did make a video. Can't forget that. I need to edit that and put it up for you, and then I'll try to.
I can share it, but
and then people could see you actually eating that one.
Oh, yeah, I got through it. I'm so glad it was just a slice because that would have been hard.
Would you do? Let's say you're out walking around, and a company, I don't know. I don't know why I'm going to say this other than we saw it the other day. Little Debbie snack cakes.
Right.
This is not a commercial for Little Debbie.
Yeah, no, we just drove by it.
We drove by the Little Debbie factory the other day. Let's say Little Debbie snack cakes have a little booth set up.
Yeah.
And they're filming and they're recording and someone's out there and they have a brand new product that they're asking people to try.
Right.
And then they have you to try it, and it's the worst thing that you've ever tried. Would you give them kind of like would you try to be encouraging? Would you be like, oh, that's not bad. I kind of like, or would you like just go, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever had in my life?
I mean, it wouldn't even matter what I said because you know how my face is.
I know your face.
I can't hide anything. So like it would, even if I said, oh, that's not so bad, my face would be like, oh my God, that is the worst thing in the whole world. Yeah.
Because I see that a lot, Tess, where you just know people are saying what they're saying because a camera is on them.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I'm ridiculously honest about stuff. So I feel like that would not be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would just be like,
that sucks.
I'd probably.
Well, you just go, that's not my favorite.
I would say this is really just not to my liking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is not a flavor. I've actually said that before. Oh yeah, we went to brunch with the girls, and we went to this place that had the worst cocktails I've ever had in my life.
Oh, I remember you telling me this story.
And we were like, these cocktails were they were horrible, and we asked for a different, like, can I have just like a mimosa or an old fashioned? They're like, we don't do that. These are the only cocktails available. And we had 4 women there. They only had 4 cocktails available. We'd all ordered a different one. They were all horrendous. And when she came back over, instead of saying this all sucks, I said, I'm not in love with the flavor profile on this cocktail. Which I thought was a really generous way of saying this is terrible.
Yeah.
And then they were just really snotty about it. And then I was
started spitting in your food and stuff.
Well, and then I was just like, well, let me just be clear. Like, this cocktail sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bring out your food and there's toilet paper in it.
I mean, fortunately,
like the cook's ass was on your food. I'm sorry.
Right. And I also don't care for that flavor profile.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty honest with that stuff.
I went to a mall once, and back when there were malls, and there were these people there. They were doing surveys and test marketing and stuff, and they were like, would you want to do it? And I always say no. I'm like, no, I don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't even do like an online
phone
survey.
I don't like any of that kind of
surveys.
No, you do. I don't like any of that stuff. So I don't know what it was at that particular day. I was just like, all right, what the heck, let's do it. And so they shuffled me off to a back room. And so I go into the back room, and they were like...
This sounds like one of those like letters to the penthouse forum.
I wish. And they were like...
I never thought this would happen to me.
Yeah, they were like, all right, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to give you this plain white box of food. It's cereal. Take it home, eat it.
Uh-huh.
There was enough for like a couple bowls, I guess. I don't know. It might have been 2 or 3. I don't know.
Right.
And then fill out this. Tell us what you think about it. And I was like, okay. And so I believe I got to test a little bit of it there,
right.
and then they got. I recall. I guess it was all there. They didn't let me take it home because I would never come back. Or whatever.
Exactly.
They might have given me some to go. I don't know, but
maybe as a thank you or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can take this.
So
home.
I got to, but it was unlabeled. It
Right.
was the best cereal I had ever. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I was like, checked it all, like, great, fantastic. And I was like, can I know what this is? No. So I was like, I want to buy the food.
Right.
And they're like, no. And so it took me years before I finally found out what it
Cheerios.
was. No. It was great grains food. I believe it was like raisins and almonds and raisins or something. It was so
the blueberry morning.
Well, they didn't have that then.
Right.
But the same thing. But it was like the almonds or something. But it was the great grains. It had grains and nuts and fruit. And so good. And still to this day, one of my favorite.
Agreed.
I don't eat a lot of cereals, but
that's a crowd pleaser right there.
I love that. If I'm gonna have cereal, I like that. But I also love putting it on yogurt. It's so good.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could eat an entire box of that.
All at once.
At once. Well, they don't put very much in there to begin with. So, how long do we have?
We're getting close to wrapping it up. But if you have something,
well, there was another thing that came up. So
okay.
I'm always like late to the game, and then I get really mad at my friends for not telling me about stuff.
Okay.
So, one of the things that happened when I was driving my mom back to Minnesota is that we listened to so the car that we had on the way up did not have access to my podcasts or any of my music that I had downloaded. So I was kind of prisoner to whatever was available. And in a lot of the Midwest, there's just not a lot of really good music.
I can imagine.
There's a lot of bad stations.
Yeah.
And they don't last very long as you're driving through state to state.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of tend to go for two things. One is like the golden oldies or the 80s classic.
Sure.
Right? Or whatever the top 40 is. And so it's a really great opportunity because I never listened to...
It's Casey Kasem with America's Top 40.
No, I think he's dead now.
That was the worst Casey Kasem I've ever heard in my life.
It's better than mine. I will say that. So, so I never hear new music, right, ever, because all I ever listen to is like...
The oldies.
Well, I know.
Or NPR.
I listen to NPR. So, like, I know news, but I know no new music.
Right.
And so I suddenly discovered that I am a huge Meg the Stallion fan.
Who?
Meg the Stallion.
I don't know. Meg the Stallion, or what's her last name?
Stallion.
Her last name is just Stallion.
It's Meg, and then Thee, the Stallion. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I don't
know these answers.
Okay, I'm just asking you. I have to know.
I just know that like she was.
Is she a real stallion?
No, she's from Houston.
Okay. There are stallions in Houston.
Probably because of their that's Dallas Cowboys. So like I was totally grooving on her, and I was like, I like this. And this chick named Camila Cabrera, she wrote a song called "My Heart Is in Havana," but then the guy took her to East Atlanta, and of course, you talk about East Atlanta, I'm gonna get excited. And so like I suddenly discovered like I really like this stuff, and then apparently Meg Thee Stallion came out with a new song with Cardi B. That's causing some controversy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't even talk about it on the air because it's naughty. Cheri would say it out loud, but I can't.
She would.
I can't say it.
Yeah.
It's WAP. You're just gonna have to look it up. I can't even talk about it, but it's naughty. But the other thing that happened...
Wild anal penetration? Is that what you're talking about?
It's almost that bad.
Oh, wow.
It's almost that bad. I was thinking it was like women are powerful or something, but I was wrong. Okay. The other thing was that during the 80s, we were driving. It was at night, and Phil Collins's "In the Air Tonight" came on. Yeah,
yep.
the big drum
now we
solo.
gotta pay royalties.
Right? Well, I hadn't heard it in so long, and my mom and I spent like the next hour talking about Miami Vice.
Okay.
And I was just like, that was actually a really good song. And I always had, my sister was really into Phil Collins when I was a kid, and Genesis.
Yes.
The Phil Collins Genesis, not the Peter Gabriel Genesis, right? Which was like a huge, if you're a music geek, like that's a huge dividing line.
It was a little more poppy, a little more commercial.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, my sister loved Phil Collins. She actually paid for me to go see a concert with him, and
he was big in the 80s.
Totally
huge.
He even had acting roles.
Yeah, there were few people that was big as
very
Phil
few
Collins.
people with that thin of lips and that bald of a head do well in terms of like overall success.
Right.
Unless you're on like Spanish TV. But like, yeah, he was really big and I really liked his music and I thought it was like really cool. And then I went to college with a bunch of music snobs and I started feeling guilty about having never liked Phil Collins. And so I'm just putting that out there. And so when we were listening to him, I was like, this is a really damn good song. And so last night, while I couldn't sleep, I decided to pull it up. And I found these two kids. It's like the twins are trending or something.
Okay.
And it's these two like black kids who are probably like 15, 16 years old.
Right.
And they're sitting there and they've got this little, YouTube channel. And what they do is they take old 80s songs and they listen to them for the first time and they react to them.
Okay.
And they're like, they're grooving along, like, yeah, ooh, in the ear tonight, ooh, and like they're grooving along. And then 4 minutes and 56 seconds hits.
When it breaks out.
And it breaks out the drum solo. They're like, what? Why is this drum solo? They're like, man, this is a dope song. Like, they're totally, I'm like, yeah, they really like it. And so then I found like all of these other React videos about that song. And like all these like young kids are like, yeah, this is like a badass song. I'm like, yeah, it's okay for me to like Phil Collins. And so
it's okay for you to like Phil Collins.
Thanks. It was a long journey to get here.
I've seen on YouTube, there are a lot of reaction videos of like tons of different. Some of them seem kind of dumb, but I see them a lot. So it's apparently it's very popular
thing, and it's charming.
Yeah.
Well, these kids have done like Jolene.
Yeah.
They've done like Aerosmith. And it's cool to see these young.
I want to see the opposite. I want to see like grandmas listening to Snoop or
Meg the Stallion.
Yeah, Meg the Stallion.
So their new one where it's like
Snoop the
whores in the house. Like
what?
You get a bunch of like old people like listening to whores in the house.
Turning it off.
It'd be like the sequel to Cocoon, which brings back Wilford Brimley.
Wilford gone this week.
So sad.
Yeah, we were just talking about Wilford. Yeah.
Yes.
My favorite role of Wilford Brimley, The Firm.
Yeah.
Man, he was such a dick in that. But he was so good.
Yeah.
So good. Everybody was good in that. That's one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
Talking about, and I don't know why I'm going to even talk about this, but Phil Collins, I remember...
I like him. I'm saying it now.
I remember listening to the podcast, This American Life,
right.
and there was an episode where this girl broke up with her boyfriend. They'd been together, and they thought they were madly in love.
Right.
And they broke up, and so she wrote a breakup song about her boyfriend.
Yeah,
and she decided that she wanted. Let's see, that's right. Phil Collins was their favorite artist, both of them. He was like their bond, and so she decided she wanted Phil Collins to hear the breakup song. So somehow, and I think it was because she worked for This American Life, and she was just, you could tell she was like 20-something, whatever.
Bless her heart.
So she was able to get like a 5-minute phone call with Phil Collins.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
And so she's telling him the whole story about the breakup, and he's like, you could tell somebody paid him a couple $100, and he was just kind of like, okay, all right, well, sounds good. It's just like really writing it off. And waiting for the time to expire.
Right.
And she was like, I would really like to play this song for you. And he was like, okay. And so she plays the breakup song for him. Now, she had a friend who was a professional musician who did the recording and everything. Right. And so it was kind of polished. And after it was over, he goes, well, that was actually really good. So his whole demeanor changed. Aww. And he was like, he really liked the song, and he starts really giving her a lot of encouragement and talking to her about the relationship, and just it was so funny how the difference that the song made.
Yeah.
He was waiting for this crappy song to start playing, and when it came out as good, he was like, "Oh, that's awesome! That was pretty cool."
That's adorable.
So it was really interesting, but she never got back with her boyfriend. So,
that's good.
Spoiler alert.
So, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Have you ever, like, in all your breakups, like, where there was like a musician or something that was completely ruined for you because of the breakup?
Sort of.
What?
Sort of.
What was it?
I met my second wife.
Yeah.
And we had a common band, although we didn't at the time know that we had this common band.
Okay.
It was Cowboy Mouth, who ended up being one of my favorite bands.
Right.
But I listen to them like crazy. Well, a lot of their songs, most of their songs are about breaking up and kind of like, screw you, I'm going to get on with my life.
Right.
Kind of. And so for a long time, I couldn't listen to Cowboy Mouth because of that. And I remember after we divorced, and it was a long time, we kind of got together and just kind of discussed some things. And she said something about, I can't listen to Cowboy Mouth anymore. And I was like, well, me either. Thanks for that.
You ruined it.
But yeah, so but now I can listen to them. It's been a long time.
Yeah, you introduced me to Cowboy
Mouth.
Yeah, because I didn't know anything about them.
Right.
Mine wasn't so much music. I had a boyfriend in college that my first true love, and when we split up, I couldn't eat McDonald's French fries anymore or use Gain.
There's no excuse for that.
So yeah, he always smelled like Gain and French fries.
Oh man, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I might date him for that.
I mean, it was a pretty heady mix, and so I could not even walk by McDonald's with like the smell of French fries coming out without being like, oh Nick, oh. And like I switched to Tide. I had and when you started wanting to use Gain again, it freaked me out for a little bit, but I'm much better now. It's been 30 years.
I went through a big breakup, maybe two, but I know one for sure. One of my many, many, many marriages ended at Christmas time. Now, it was okay with me. It needed to end, but breakups aren't fun.
Yeah.
And so at that point, as I realized every freaking Christmas song is about either, where's my baby?
Right.
I can't see you this year.
Right.
Hanging stockings for you. Where are you? I'm just, I couldn't believe how many depressing Christmas songs there were.
Most of them are depressing.
It surprised me. And so
for a time of joy and hope, it's really very melancholy.
I've heard that right before Christmas is one of the worst times for breakups. And that would make sense. I feel like don't break up until after Christmas, because then you got all year to kind of get over it.
Right.
You don't have to hear those songs. Yeah. Wow. Then that just ruins it.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
You and I met at Thanksgiving.
Right.
I met one of my long-term relationships in, wow, now I'm thinking all this, October. Mm-hmm. Cheri and I met in October. That's 2 Octobers. You're November. One March, I believe. March, yeah. And then one was June or July. So a couple of summers, spring and summers.
Yeah.
Most of my relationships fall.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm feeling more amorous at that time. I'm out looking.
Well, it's because the heat is over. And
I need some warmth. Need some body heat.
Well, you're just so happy. You're just so happy with the return of cold that you're just like, you're skipping.
Well, I just love autumn. And so you don't want to go through that kind of by yourself. It's like autumn. You want to be with somebody. You want to have some fun friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually met Cheri on 4th of July. So I met her in the summer, but we didn't actually meet in person till October. So I remember we met, and then like the week after we met, we were going to a Halloween party together. So it was fall and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then you and we met right on Thanksgiving. We met in person right after Thanksgiving. So all of our first stuff was Christmas. So that's awesome, because that's very emotional, and there's so much sensory stuff going on, and so it really sears into
and both of us are in like ridiculously good moods that time of year.
Yeah, it was fun. I was in a good space. I actually was kind of over relationships at that time, so it sort of worked out. Yeah, it sort of worked out. I was just like, okay, this is great. I felt like I was getting it for one of the first times I was getting into a relationship because I wanted to, not just because I wanted to be with somebody, but because I was like actively saying, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a healthy thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, should we stop this
I guess, well, do we need to do this?
We do that. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't.
I don't know how the rules work.
We don't just pull the plug.
Okay.
We don't just say, let's stop it.
I don't know how you wrap it up.
But what I would like to say is, if you're listening to the podcast for the first time, thank you. We are on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. And we have a website, thisepicdisaster.com. You can find us. I want to give a special shout out to Aaron Jackson.
Yeah.
who, man, he just sent me the update of our beer reviews. This guy goes back and listens to every podcast and records our reviews.
He's adorable.
I can't believe, I wouldn't even want to do that. I can't believe he did that.
He's awesome.
And I didn't pay him, and he's not gotten anything from it, but I did want to give him a little shout out. And we'll probably shout out again next week when Cheri's here.
We should do something nice for him.
Yeah, Cheri's going to want to do a shout out too. So
yeah.
I'm going to try to keep it updated every week from now on, I hope.
Jax, if you're listening, do you want to come to our Thanksgiving this year?
Tell everybody what we're drinking.
And be socially distanced.
Yeah.
With more masks.
Yeah, because, and I haven't talked to him about this, but he works at Netherworld, the haunted house. He was here last year, and he talked about that.
Oh, that's right.
I'm wondering what they're going to do this year. I bet they don't get to do it. People will be wearing masks, though, so who knows. But I'd be willing to bet that a lot of holiday stuff will be closed this year.
I would think so.
That's disappointing.
Sturgis is still on.
If you're a biker, you can still go to your events. All events on for bikers. But yeah, look us up. Be a friend. Tell us what you think of the podcast. Don't criticize Maria because this is her first time.
Yeah.
I thought you did good for your first time.
Thanks.
Just you've been on. You were on like what, the second podcast, telling your story.
Yeah.
But you've never co-hosted with me, so I thought you did good.
Thanks.
You didn't reveal any secrets about me, which is good. I appreciate that. Like Cheri does. Cheri would talks about my penis.
I would never do that.
No, I know you don't do that ever.
You
never talk about
because what if my mother hears?
I know.
I can't have that.
But anyway, so let's talk about this beer.
Okay.
What are we drinking?
We're drinking the Avery Brewing. No, it's the. What happened to the can?
I don't know.
You poured it, honey.
Oh, I must have tossed. Yeah, I did.
Okay, it's the barrel aged
vanilla bean stout
from Avery Brewing Company of Colorado. I really liked it.
Okay.
I was expecting more vanilla tones from it since it's got vanilla bean in the title. But I felt like it felt almost more like a coffee kind of taste to it.
It did have a little bit of a coffee taste.
Yeah, it really felt more like a kind of deep, rich coffee taste. It was very forward on the tip of my tongue. I guess that's probably, I don't know if that's the bitter area where people taste things. But it was
bitter kind of in the middle of my tongue.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's where I felt the tingles.
Okay.
But I thought it was really smooth. It went down really easily.
Okay.
For something that is as high octane as it is, I don't feel terribly buzzy from it.
I can feel a little bit, but I don't feel at all impaired. I feel very, very relaxed.
Yeah, it's like
not bad at all.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we rate 1 through 5.
1 through 5.
You
5
can
being
do
the top.
Yeah, the best, and you can do 0.5s. You can do halves. Cheri occasionally would like to do quarters, but we try not to.
That's BS.
She likes to be a renegade, a rebel. She'll do it. If I tell her not to do it.
No, that's not a renegade. That's just like non-committal.
If I tell her not to do it, then she'll do it. She'll do anything I tell her not to do. That's just Cheri.
So maybe you should tell her the opposite.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think? How would you rate this?
Honestly, I really liked it. I thought it was good, but it didn't completely knock my socks off like I was expecting it to.
Yep.
I think my expectations were really high in terms of the flavor profile.
Okay.
So I would probably put it as a 3.5.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And
are you just saying that?
No,
we should write it down.
I was going to write it down first, but it's not a competition. But I was going to say your review is very similar to mine, especially all that stuff you just said. I did expect it to be a little better. My problem with it, almost all, was just it's more bitter than I like in a beer, especially this kind. It does have a great. You can get that bourbon barrel taste, which is great. It's a slight vanilla taste and coffees and dark, and so
I get the caramel and the kind of molassesy taste to it, but I'm not tasting a whole lot of vanilla. And
I liked that it held on to the carbonation through most of it, so it had a lot going for it. I just didn't like the actual. It's just too much bitter for me. If it was a little smoother, I would push it up to 4, maybe 4 or 5, but because I did kind of like the taste. So, but 3.5, it's a good beer. It's I would recommend it if you like that kind of beer, and especially if you do like a little bit of bitter with your beer.
Yeah, I just don't go into it thinking it's going to be a really vanilla-y kind of creamy kind of flavor, because it's not. It's not at all.
All right, so we both feel exactly the same about the beer. That's very cool.
That's very cool.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. Next week, Cheri will be back. I'm pretty sure.
Yay, Cheri!
At some point, I'm sure she's gonna do a show without me. I want to hear that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let's hear how that one goes, but it might be a while. But yeah, please follow us on social media. Tell us what you think of the podcast. Send us email, thisepicdisaster@gmail.com. Tell us who today's Burt Reynolds is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's today's Burt Reynolds? Mark Maron. Is it Mark Maron? He's got the mustache.
He's too old. No, because back then.
Wait, he's younger than me.
No, I mean, but for like what Smokey and the Bandit was at the time, it was like.
I know.
It was young and virile. And
I'll think
Sally
of it in
Field.
just a few minutes. As soon as we sign off, I'll go downstairs and I'll be like, it's this person, and I'll remember.
Okay.
But
someone he's got to have like some serious chest hair, because like Burt Reynolds had some serious chest hair.
You know, we're thinking all white guys though. What if he's not a white guy?
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, who's a really smooth?
Idris Elba, but he's like too old.
He's a little old. Burt Reynolds wasn't like mega young.
He was. I mean, come on.
Latino guy, Latin guy, Asian guy. Is there an Asian?
Ooh, there's. He's just not super hairy, but like, I guess you don't have to be hairy.
I don't know that you even have to have a mustache, but it would help.
I feel like you have to have a mustache.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure it out. Somebody will let us know. All right, people. Thanks for listening to us, and come follow us and show up next Monday when we'll have a brand new podcast, and our old co-host will be back.
Yay!
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.